I'm Rose Doc Rodden, and this is Gruesome Magazine, where we review the very latest in streaming and video on-demand horror movies. Each week, my co-hosts Jeff Moore, Vanessa Thompson, and Crystal Cleveland, and I, will take a look at various spooky, scary, and gory genre offerings. With me this week is co-host Jeff Moore. Jeff, how you doing?
I am good. I just, today I took a drive down the road looking for my mother, and but it was the wrong road, and that wasn't my mother either.
That's probably the only way you can shove these two movies together. That is excellent. Thank you so much. That was awesome. Also joining us this week is Crystal Cleveland. She is the living dead girl. Crystal, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going? It's summer. Woo!
It is, and today was cool.
Yeah, it was a beautiful day here in Charlotte. It rained all day. It was a wonderfully dreary day.
Perfect for horror fans. Yes. All right. On the show, we take a look at 2 horror films each week, and we kind of have a nice little discussion about them. We have 2 tonight. That would make sense. The first one is Clinton Road with director Richard Grieco and Steven Stanioulis. And it has a interesting cast of people that aren't in the film very long, including Eric Roberts, Ice-T, and Vincent Pastore. And we'll talk about that film first. And then up next after that is I Am Mother, which is available on Netflix. And this is from director Grant Sputore. And the cast includes Rose Byrne, Hilary Swank, and Clara Rugard. And these movies, we found out, couldn't be any further apart from each other tonally, topically, and we just have to thank Jeff for tying them together with that wonderful story. So that was incredible. So let's dive into things. Up first is Clinton Road. This is a film about a widowed firefighter seeks closure after his wife goes missing on an actual haunted road in rural New Jersey, but must unlock the road's secret if he wants to get out alive. That is the synopsis, and we're going to discuss if that's anywhere near what we saw. Crystal, you're up first. What is your first impression of Clinton Road?
Well, first and foremost, I want to apologize to you both because I pushed for this movie. I said, this trailer looks great. This is going to be really awesome, and I feel like I have disappointed us, and I am sorry for that. Because I will tell you, there is something I never thought I would ever say, a sentence that I never thought I would utter, and that is, the best part of this movie was Ice-T and his snazzy sport coat. And that's something I could tell you that I really, truly never thought I would say. So it's a simple story, and it has only 3 locations. Technically, it's true. 2, excuse me. A nightclub, the woods, and a random home, which actually turns out to be the woods. The characters are very simple and very cliche. The sound, it's muddled. It tried too hard with some of the music and spots. The shaky camera work made me a little woozy, and it didn't work for the movie. It was a strange shaky. It was like it was shaky, but not shaky enough to actually be shaky, which is kind of weird. They did this blue light, all these blue lights throughout the film, and I think they were going for the effect of cool tones. You know how you see some in some films that have those muted cool tones, and it provides a creep. No, you can't use blue lights to achieve that effect, and I truly think that's what they were trying to do. The movie took itself very, very seriously. The effects were downright awful, and there was absolutely 0 scares in this quote-unquote horror movie. So if that doesn't explain how I feel about this movie, I don't know what else does. It has a couple decent moments, but those are mainly contained in the nightclub scene, which is the first, third of the film, which is where you see Ice-T and Eric Roberts and Vincent. It's that part of the movie. I was like, oh, this is kind of interesting. But let me tell you, it was muddled. It was. I can't say it was confusing because, like I said, the story was very simple. The characters are simple. It was obvious what was going on at points, but oh god, it was bad. It was Bloodcraft bad.
Bloodcraft bad.
Oh, it was Bloodcraft bad. Yeah.
Oh, no.
So, yeah, that's how I feel about. I wanted to like it. I was watching it. And I watched it twice, as a matter of fact, to make sure that this is really how I felt about it. And as I watched it the second time, I thought, I'm so sorry, guys.
You
So
watched
sorry.
it twice.
Yeah, it's a short film. It's like an hour and 20 minutes or something. It's not even very long, but it feels like an eternity. I'm like, oh, this is just too bad.
Two eternities you spent.
2 eternities. Oh man. Yeah. So all the names, if you will, except one, I'll get to that here in a second. All the names are basically in the opening scene, which has very little to do with the actual story, except for introducing the characters and letting Ice-T, who is one of the guys who I'm talking about, tell this fairly entertaining and interesting story about the road itself and setting it all up. Eric Roberts shows up as Eric Roberts. That was hilarious.
That was awesome.
And Ice-T and Vincent Pastore are, I guess, co-owners or some managers of this bar. And then Bo Dietl shows up as the mayor, which is...
Now do you know who Bo Dietl is?
Now I know who Bo Dietl is. I was like, I got to look this guy up. Oh, yeah. And yeah, that you're absolutely right. That it was just like, and it doesn't feel like it's the same. So there are 2 directors, and I would wager. Yeah, there's 2 directors.
That's so funny. I swear I was going to say once again, it felt like 2 movies, like that other movie we watched that had the 2 directors.
Right.
It's so obvious when it's done. Yeah.
Right. Richard Grieco directed, and so did Steven Stanislaus, and it feels like one of them directed the bar scene and somebody else directed the other scenes. And I can wager that who did which. I have a feeling. Now, I'm going to turn this over to you in a minute, Jeff, but ironically, one of the 6 people that go out to the woods, I recognized, and it's Ace Young. And here's where I embarrassed myself. He was on American Idol.
Oh.
Yeah. Yep. And he had long hair then. I had long hair, and he was very popular. Yeah, he's
he was like a finalist, right?
He was, and this is where he ended up.
Where American Idol contestants go to die.
Yeah, well, I'll give him credit that I thought he did fairly well, but
interestingly enough, the acting wasn't horrible. Okay, it just wasn't horrible. It wasn't great, but it wasn't horrible. I mean, I didn't look at it and go, whoa. Well, I mean, from some of them I did, but that wasn't the worst part of this movie. There was just so much other bad that was my least concern.
I have a feeling we're going to be talking about a lot of that here in just a second. All right, Jeff Moore, sir, what is your first impression of Clinton Road?
No.
Straight up no.
How many times can I say no? My grandmother always used to say, if you don't have anything good to say, don't say nothing. Yeah, I'll go totally with Crystal. I think Ice-T and Vincent Pastore and the little tiny piece where Eric Roberts was in was probably the best parts. It didn't feel like they had any respect for horror. It kind of felt like they were... they lucked into having Ice-T and Vincent Pastore and Eric Roberts around, and so they tried to cash in and threw together a quick horror movie or something, because it was, for me anyway, it was really slapdash. And I didn't like the acting. It seemed unrehearsed or undirected or bad script or maybe a little bit of all those things. But I just, yeah, it was kind of like an eternity. And it's weird. And I'm like watching it going, well, something's going to happen here pretty soon. Something's going to happen. Something's going to happen. And then something happens.
Just keep
going,
waiting.
You got to be kidding me. Like when that guy was drowning, that's when I gave up, or something was pulling him, I guess. That was when I was like, yeah, there's no hope here, because this is like one of the peaks. So, because they spent a lot of time, it lingered in that for quite a while. Yeah, I don't know. It's just not a very good movie. I wish I could tell you why, other than people were like got separated in the woods and they were sort of aimlessly wandering around. And then this one guy, Bagori, was supposed to be some kind of a medium or spiritualist,
like
or
a psychic or something.
Yeah, and he wasn't making it happen either. We kept seeing this bald guy with glasses and a beard.
Was he supposed to be like a blacksmith or something? Because
I
remember
don't
that
know.
they talked about a forge out there or something?
Oh yeah, well he had a big hammer, that's for sure.
Yeah, that whole thing was absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
I mean, I have to agree with you completely when I say that whoever did this has no respect for horror. Because I mean, you really couldn't drum up one single scare, nothing. Like nothing at all. No, no.
And there really was no attempt at special effects. I mean, the little girl was
Off.
literally, I could do that, and I wouldn't have a clue what I was doing, but I could do that.
And then they just did that like blurring. I was like, no, how dare they? I was like, it's a little offensive. I think the movie is offensive to me as a horror lover.
Yeah. The only effects they had was the makeup that was on Bagori, right? The eye and the scar. So, and when they bashed his head in.
Well, the little girl had hollow black eyes.
Yeah, she had white.
Yeah.
Basically, all they did is they made her completely white and then dead black around the eyes. That's it.
Yeah.
And dripping blood from the hammer. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and I'm not even sure what happened to some of the characters. We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Woo!
Well, they're still out there wandering around in the fog, I guess.
They might be.
No.
They might be.
Best is that they go along, and then all of a sudden you go boom, 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 and they just took them all out, right there at the. I was like, what? Oh, you just had to wrap this up.
Oh, I hear a fire. You hear that fire? Let's go look at that fire. And then they go over there and they go, well, what happened? There's nobody here. Oh, wait, now I hear a fire over there. I don't know.
Oh, so bad.
Yeah, so it doesn't sound like we liked it. Okay, so I'm going to kind of push back just a little bit. I liked Bagori. The James DeBello did.
Are you really saying you liked it? You're telling me.
I thought it was campy fun.
His fit.
Okay.
So campy and stupid. Yes, I liked when he was in the bar scene. He was like up in their faces.
Oh, okay.
And then when he was like, then he was doing his little thing and he was like doing his little jerky movements on the ground. I was like, man, yes. I have no idea what you're doing, but keep going. Because that's the only thing that's funny in this whole movie. Just keep.
You're right.
That's fair. Yeah, I'll give you that too.
And then the blacksmith guy walking around, I thought I was seeing Rob Halford from Judas Priest running around. I was like, is that Rob Halford? I don't know if you've seen him lately, but he's balding and has the beard. So I was like, man, how'd they get Rob Halford?
And a lot of times he just in the background walking across the screen like it was some weird comedy skit. I expected him to start doing like dancing sideways or something.
I feel like they didn't even try. I think that's why it bothers me. Because you're right. He's just there. Oh, he's just there. And he's not even scary.
No, he does twist a couple heads. Right?
Oh, he does. He twists a head and he bashes a head. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But first he just walks around in the background for a while and
yeah.
But let me make sure that we point out that this is not gory. Okay, that sounds like no. Don't get your hopes up, guys. If you decide to watch this movie without my approval, do not get your hopes up about anything.
It does have a great poster, though.
It does. Yeah, the art is nice. The art is nice. And like I said, I mean, Ice-T's jacket is super snazzy. Like, he's dressed really, really nice. And his story.
The story was great. And then Vincent Pastore walks up and scares the shit out of him.
Actually, okay, see, that whole nightclub part is funny because then when the guy comes up about him not paying the bill and he's like, do you want to die? That was funny.
And then Eric Roberts isn't getting in because they won't believe he's Eric Roberts.
No, I know Eric Roberts, and he's taller and younger. I was like, oh, that's awesome. I was like, I love him.
That was good.
All right. Well, I think we better stop ourselves before we embarrass ourselves. So let's wrap this up. Let's give our final thoughts, our score. This should be fun. And a favorite scene. We can't all choose the same one. Crystal, you get the lucky straw.
You get to go first.
You get to go first.
Woo! Basically, do not watch this movie. Do not watch this movie. I would say play some sort of drinking game with it, but it's still not going to be worth a watch. You can watch the first 20 minutes and then just turn it off. Turn it off, and you'll be thankful that you did. I give this movie a 1, and that's only because
Ice-T
of Eric Roberts and Ice-T. Yes, and that's being a little bit generous, I think. And my favorite scene is going to be the split second of the two girls kissing. That's it.
That did happen.
That did happen. Yep.
That did after we got the butt flash.
Yep.
I'm not sure where. I'm not sure who they were. Was it the?
It was the two. It was the sisters. Yes.
It was the ex. It was the dead ex-wife and the sister.
Yes.
Yeah. I couldn't even tell. Whose butt is that?
It was supposed to be the ex-wife or the missing wife. Whatever happened to her, I guess, in some limbo or dead or what. I don't know.
Totally missed all that. That's crazy. All right, cool. We'll give you that. Excellent. Jeff Morriser, what is your final thoughts? Your score, favorite scene for Clinton Road?
So, final thoughts, I would say, unless you want to see an example of how not to tell a story, run away. And I'm giving this a 1.
You can go a half if you want.
I'll go 1 because
all right,
they made a movie and Ice-T and
Ace Young. They had Ace Young. Hey, American Idol. Whoop whoop.
And favorite. I wasn't near as impressed with Ace Young as you were.
Don't confuse what I'm saying. But go ahead.
Okay. Favorite scene. I actually put down 2 because they're sort of.
What?
Well, but that was in case somebody took the first one, which I don't even know what I was thinking. Because somebody would do that. When there's one scene where the blacksmith, I guess, the bald guy with glasses and the big beard,
Rob Halford,
yeah, he kind of does this weird sort of snorting thing. I think it was supposed to be scary, but I was laughing my ass off. I don't know if you caught that or not.
Oh, I don't know if I did.
He kind of breathes deep and goes, like it was supposed to scare him. I don't know.
Oh God, that's hilarious.
I think it was a scene out of they took some sound effects from Thor.
Can you do that again? Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Oh my gosh.
Oh well,
my other one. I'm going to tell you my other one.
Go ahead, take the other one.
You won't pick it. The Ranger pointing.
I forgot. There's a Ranger in this. Yes,
that's all. Yeah.
Carlos Leon plays the Ranger who shows up for some reason. Okay, so this movie frustrated the hell out of me because I had no idea what these these stories were that were showing up. There's a floating dead boy in the lake. There's the girl. There's the Rob Halford. There's the car driving by. There's, it's a haunted road. So I guess there's just a bunch of haunting, whatever they can think of, right? And then the house, and then it disappears. Whatever. Like I said, the first little bit of the film is an entirely different film. It looks different. It has a different flow, which oddly works for this film. I don't know why. At least you get your cameos, out of the way straight up. And they work. They work. Ice-T steals it. His story is the best part. I'm surprised you guys didn't pick just his story. So.
I was going to, but I was going to give it to y'all. That was being,
okay.
yeah. I mean, obviously that, like I said, he was the MVP. So, yeah.
Now, the one thing that's different between you guys and me, it's still a bad movie. I liked James DeBello as Bigori. I don't know why, but it just, I was just like, okay, at least you're not a wooden character walking around. You're trying to do something, and you've got tics and behaviors, and some of them are a little silly. I'm sorry, James. The way you convulse is like I'm trying to think. It's like somebody doing bad dancing where they get on the floor. Like, okay, do you see Animal House?
Yes.
You remember how low can you go? How low can and they get down and they just start. That's what he's doing.
Oh my God.
He's one toga away
funny.
from being an Animal House. But it works. It works. Just go for it, James. Just you own it. It's you.
Okay. You know what? I'm going to give you something, and this had to be intentionally funny, and it has to do with him. It's when they're all like, "Where is he? Where is he? Oh, look at him. He's right there near the tree." That was really funny.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, is he talking to the tree?
Yes.
Yeah.
Ben in the tree.
Yeah.
Ben in
Oh,
the
my God.
So did you see the final scene? I can't remember if it was a stinger, if it was just at the end of the movie. With
maybe not.
I think it was Richard Grieco in a really bad wig driving a car. Did you see the thing with driving the car?
I don't think I did. When I got the credits, I'm admitting
I was done. I was done.
Apologies.
Yeah, there was something after that that made no. Yeah, but it did. Do not waste your time looking for it.
Oh boy!
I don't even.
All right, so I'm actually going to give this a 1.5.
Oh,
and I'm giving it a 1.5 because of Bigori. I'm gonna own my. Yeah, I'm just gonna own it, and I'm gonna take that with me, and you guys can rub that in my face for the rest of the time.
No.
But
no, it's just a 1.5. I mean, that's not.
Now, the Ice-T story is obviously the best scene in there. It's great. But if I wasn't choosing that, I would choose Bigori's little seance thing because it was just like, what the fuck is that? What the hell? What is going on? I don't understand this if I keep going. Yeah, Ace Young, woot, go, dude. No, hashtag note sarcasm. So there's our review for Clinton Road. Oh my gosh. Up next is an entirely different film. As about as far away from it as you can. It's I Am Mother. This landed on Netflix. It got a lot of praise. I think is it South by Southwest or was it actually at it was either that or Sundance. It got a lot of praise.
It was at Sundance.
It was at Sundance. All right. It's from director Grant Spatore, Hilary Swank, and Clara Rugard star with the voice of Rose Byrne as a robot mother, if you will, that raises a teenage girl after the apocalypse. There is a plan set in motion, and the robot is executing that plan, and the teenage girl is the first to be born and raised. And we follow this relationship.
Well, are you sure about that?
Well, that's part of this twist. That's part of the twist. Until Hilary Swank shows up, and everything starts to go south after that. As, whenever she shows up at a party, that's what happens. So, just saying. No, not really, but... All right, Jeff, this is in your park. What is your first impression of I Am Mother?
I like this a lot. Basically, it's a 3-character film, which you've already laid out, and one of the characters is an android. It starts off with, we get a little bit of computer script on the screen. It says day 1 after the extinction event, and we see this android who ends up being Mother being built and assembled by sort of industrial type robots, which is always one of those things that kind of creep me out. It's kind of like the Borg, right? It's robots rebuilding and improving themselves will be the end of the world. And then most of it takes place about 35, 40 years after that. It says 13,000 days after. So it's about what that is. And it's a repopulation facility that holds 63,000 human embryos, right? So the whole point of Mother is this robot or android who's going to repopulate the human race, basically, and doing these embryos, I guess, one at a time. And so we see her bring out the first one, who ends up being this female. And it's, I forget the exact code, but it was number 3. You could see it on the embryo. And that whole thing was kind of cool. I kind of liked that. And apparently gestation was like 24 hours somehow. Did you guys, is that what it seemed like to you? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's all it was. Yeah, because
she hooked it up and sits down and watches the clock. Mother has this super sweet voice, who's really Rose Byrne, very motherly like. And she tells the daughter that's born and is now up to, I don't know, how old would you say she was? Probably 16, 18, something like that.
Oof. I think 18's pushing it. I'd say 15, 16. Yeah, tops. Yeah, she's very young.
That sounds good. So tells her that all the humans are dead from a contagion, and that that's why they can't go outside. But at some point, there's some banging on the steel doors and the airlocks, and it's Hilary Swank's character, who is only ever identified as woman, screaming and asking for help. And at that point, daughter decides, sees that she's hurt and lets her in, even though it's totally against Mother's rules, and she's terrified that Mother will find out, etc. And the woman tells the daughter a different story than the one she's been getting from Mother.
Yeah. So don't say any more, because
that's where I'm stopping. And I was just trying to, and I don't know. We can cut part of that out if you want. I
don't think that's too much. That's not too much.
One of the biggest things for me was it took a lot deeper look at the relation between robots and humans, or relationships between robots and humans, than I had seen before. Also, sort of, now we have the woman and we have Mother, and who is daughter supposed to trust? And, it's a tough choice. She's lived her entire life with Mother, hasn't seen anybody else, and has been trained and is good at lots of stuff, including dance and surgery and stuff like that. But anyway, I just think it was really interesting how they played up on that, and how daughter is going to be able to decide who to trust and what might those human-android interactions look like in the future. I thought the acting was excellent. Clara Ruggard, or how did you say her name? Was it Ruggard?
Well, that's how I said it, but it might be how you say it. I don't know.
It's probably Ruggard. And we also have 2-time Oscar winner Hilary Swank, and Rose Byrne really sets the stage with the voice of Mother. And it's the director's, Grant Sputore. It's his first feature. So this is a very impressive movie. They do a great job of telling the story. It's almost 2 hours long. And with only these 3 characters, I was never bored. I was never wondering when something was going to happen. I think the dialogue and interactions between daughter and mother kept me totally interested. And then when they added in the ingredient of woman, that added another level to that. So I enjoyed the heck out of this.
Yeah, it had plenty of twists, plenty of conflict, but it was all almost human level conflict. It wasn't your usual sci-fi conflict, or at least not on the surface, right?
Right.
And yeah, I thought that's what made this particular film so special, along with the special effects for Mother. She was brilliantly realized and executed. There are some shots where they're like close up between her and mother and daughter, and wow, I don't think I've enjoyed a scene like that since, like, what is it, Alien 2 or 3? Alien 3, right? Where the xenomorph gets right up and rips his face.
Yeah.
So it was just like it just had this tension, but it was really different. It wasn't the usual type of tension. But enough about me.
See, that's so interesting how you feel. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, so let's find out what Crystal's first impression of I Am Mother. What is it? Let us know.
Of course, I loved the movie as well. See, I think it's interesting that you felt that there was tension between the daughter and Mother. Okay, so I'm a weird weird bird a bit. I tend to sympathize with the aliens and the robots
Nice.
over humans, but that's just because I think humans are so flawed. And I think that was a big, huge part of this movie. I felt this movie had a lot of religious undertones without being religious at all, of course. It just was. I mean, you could equate Mother to a Godhead type of Godhead type of figure, and you could equate woman to temptation of sorts, like, maybe good or bad. We don't know. Maybe woman is more like the fruit of knowledge. I think the relationship between daughter and mother only was tepid because of the daughter. I always felt like mother never felt, I didn't get the feeling of animosity from her toward daughter. But maybe that's just me.
I think I agree with you, but it's the daughter was growing wary of mother.
Yeah, she was the one that was untrusting. But the truth is, she only found out what she found out. She didn't have enough information to see the bigger picture, to really know what happened. Because, like, were there experiments before her? Possibly. But does she know what happened with those and why certain things would have happened with those? I mean, humans are flawed. Someone could be flawed genetically. Someone could be flawed emotionally. You don't know if someone is going to be born a sociopath or psychopath. And that's not something that you want kept around in the world. Ah.
Right. Well, her distrust in mother begins with the rat, right? Because the electricity goes off and they find a rat that had kind of done something and bit into the cord or something. And when she finds the rat, she wants to keep it, but mother says no and then fries it right in front of her. And at that point, she starts to, look deeper than the surface for what mother is doing. And you can see it because she starts kind of rebelling with the teachings and the classes. And then she grows to want to go outside.
Once again, that totally reminds me of the Garden of Eden. I mean, this is exactly what I'm saying, why it all speaks to, like, biblical sort of stuff here. All I think that mother's responsibility, I mean, mother makes the actual statement that she was raised to value human life above anything else. So therefore, by default, she's not bad. I mean, I can make a lot of excuses for her.
But that's if you believe her.
Yeah, I was going to say she also has human flaws.
I absolutely believe her. I believe her because obviously she has a grand plan. I mean, you do understand that. Did you notice how much those two looked alike?
Yes.
Yes, exactly.
I was a little thinking they were going to go somewhere else at first, and they didn't. Yeah.
So where's number one? Oh, well, you know where that is. You know where she is, or it is. Here's the thing: humans, we destroy ourselves. We're selfish. We don't put the greater good in front of our own, and that's why she had the lessons about, like, the greater good. To me, it's all about moral choices, and like, a rat is a rat. A rat's not a person. So you can't put a rat on the same level as a human. So she destroyed the rat. Well, it's unfortunate. Maybe not the best course of action to show, a genteel nature. But I don't think that she was trying. Everything that was done in the story just made so much sense. This is why I love this movie. I feel like it has such a deep meaning, and there's so much to it. Because I could completely analyze this movie and go, oh my God, it's really brilliant. And I love the pettiness still of mother, because she is petty. Like, did you really think she would stay here? Oh my God, that was the greatest line of the whole movie. when she walks in. Did you really think she would stay here? Looking around like, how nasty. It's brilliant. It's such a good story. The characters are wonderfully developed. I feel like the interaction was so real and so raw, and I felt for daughter so much and her desire to be with humans, but also have a family. When she lays her head on mother's shoulder when she's choosing her brother, like that was such a sweet moment to me, you know?
So can I tell you my interpretation of that?
Absolutely.
To me, mother was manipulating daughter at that point.
Of course she was.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily make it bad.
Well, she was...
Manipulation for the greater good is still the greater good.
Okay. But she was...
Her decision of the greater good.
Yeah, but but wait. Humans have a finite intelligence, and I definitely think that the robot probably knows better. But that's just me. See, once again, I typically support the aliens and the robots in these matters, but that's mainly just because, you know, humans are horrible in most cases.
Not going to say it's aliens, but it's aliens.
That's funny, though. Now people are going to be like, where's the alien?
There's no aliens. There's no aliens. But the third act does bring some surprises to it, and I really enjoyed that. But Jeff, step in here with Mother and these three characters, because once you get all three of them in the same place, the dynamic keeps swirling around.
Right.
Both of these characters, what's really interesting about the script is that it makes you lean back and forward with these characters, at least maybe not for Crystal because she's always on the side of the robot. But I was like, trust a robot. This girl's going to get you. Oh no, trust a woman because the robot's lying to you as well. And
exactly. So that's where I was coming from. Was they were both in the end. It seemed at first woman. Well, how far can I go? But yeah. I got to be vague, and I can't argue too much without being specific. So vaguely, I think I agree with what you're saying, Doc, in that it was questionable, totally questionable on who to trust. If I'm daughter, who's telling the truth and why are they doing that? Okay. So I have some other theories I don't want to get into, but I think some of those ethics questions that Mother was posing to daughter are pretty classic, and there's no obvious answers to those.
I think the daughter gave a beautiful answer, though. What a beautiful answer.
Well, she wanted more information.
Yeah, and I think that's very appropriate.
But even then, it comes to who's evaluating life, and do I have the right to evaluate life? Whose life is better than somebody else's? So from my point of view, there's not any absolutes, I guess, in that situation. But I liked what you said about the religions, because I hadn't thought of that, and I do see some of that.
You could also put politics in there too,
Oh yeah.
Right. Oh, absolutely. And so it's just the idea that your solution of what's best for mankind doesn't necessarily.
But here.
Are you Thanos?
No. Well, no. Well, okay. See, I can understand Thanos too. This is why I think differently. But let me tell you. Well,
understanding of what's right or wrong, two different things.
I believe that Mother ultimately was seeking selflessness above all. When daughter came back to be with her brother, it was the ultimate sacrifice. She wanted to be free. She wanted to have the idea of living up in the world and finding people, but she ultimately came back be with her brother, which was an act of selflessness, I believe. She wanted to save him. She wanted to be with them. She wanted to help raise him. And I think that's what made her special, or it made her the perfect choice, or the good choice, or the right choice. And that's why she was given the keys to the kingdom
Let me throw something else out there, because you guys said something earlier that I didn't think of, and that was the resemblance between the two.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to throw a little point out, and you tell me if this supports what you guys are saying. Daughter loves to watch The Tonight Show on this.
Yes.
This little
A long time ago.
future iPad thing, and Jeff was saying that this is supposed to be like centuries later, right?
Yep. Oh, it's 35 years.
35 years, decades later. And a woman comes in and
Exactly.
she says, "Yes, I remember watching that show."
Ah,
And
Yeah,
I'm
it
like-
doesn't.
and I was like, and it
Yeah.
didn't ring. It was like, well, of course, I remember watching it too. But the only way
Of course,
maybe giving something away.
exactly.
There's one way
No,
that
no.
she could remember watching it.
Yeah.
That's on the same
Yeah,
future
exactly.
iPad thing. So.
She was
Which is-
she had a purpose, and she served that purpose. That was all. That's what I'm saying. There was a master plan. She was.
oh, there
part of
was
the
a master plan.
Mm-hmm.
Both
And
of
she-
them. Both of them had a master plan.
Both
Yeah.
of them. Yeah. Yep. Both of them did.
So there's a confrontation at the end that we don't see a resolution to.
Of course, you know what happened there.
Okay. I was just going to say,
Because once someone's purpose is fulfilled, then then they've done what they've needed to do.
okay.
Yeah, but that's where you got to cut out the cancers. See, I'm so poor sometimes. This is why it's people are like, you're a horrible person. I'm like, no. I'm like, no, actually, I think that I'm not horrible. I think that I can see horrible people and understand that sometimes not all life is created equal. And I do think that there are some people's lives that are worth more than others. But that's just me. That's how I feel. That's how I'm sorry, but if you have a choice between that girl or Ted Bundy, well, gee, of course I'm going to choose the girl. But, in any sort of ethics, well, how is that fair? Whose choice? Blah, 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 blah,
well,
blah.
and my take on that is that that's okay for an individual to make that decision, but that's not okay for institutionalized or government to make that.
I'm completely with you. Oh, I'm with you. Absolutely.
And I guess I was looking at this as sort of like the new government,
Well, see, okay,
that they're
so
running
here's
the thing.
here's
By the way,
thing,
I
though.
just had a friend of mine text me, "I Am Mother" on Netflix, 2 thumbs up. He doesn't know we're doing this right now.
Nice.
But the thing is now, if you also kind of think of like God, if you look biblically, God said, I'm not going to interfere any longer. If you have any sort of knowledge of the Bible. And this is kind of what's happening here, if you see what's happened.
Well,
Mm.
we don't know
Nope.
that, though.
Yes, you do. It's obvious.
No,
Hey, okay, so we're
no,
so
it
we're gonna no, Jeff, really? Okay, so here I'm just gonna talk so we could take this out. Yes, that's why that's why she let the daughter kill her, and she said, "Daughter, if you ever need me," she's like, "No, I won't need you."
That's a pointless gesture, because
No,
she
no.
just got done telling her that I am everybody, all the people that are out there.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, they
but
didn't
that
all drop
doesn't-
dead.
Of course not.
So
No,
mother's
I'm saying,
still there.
No, yeah, she's still there, but she's not going to interfere. Is what the purpose is.
She could just as easily have walked out.
Well, she was stuck in the door. I don't think there was any reason for the daughter to shoot her other than just to get rid of her from the bunker more than anything. And obviously mother could break into the bunker at any time that she wants to.
Right.
I mean, she's got the universal consciousness. Of course, she controls all of them. But what she was doing is she ultimately, mother's great plan was to find the person to pass over humanity to. That's all. That's the whole basis of the movie. She was actually giving up control. She was seceding power. It's absolutely what it is.
No. I think she's far more manipulative than we could plan.
No,
Than we can see.
No, that's totally it. She seems. Oh God.
Well, I know that's what it seems
I
like, but
think
in my opinion, it's left open to a lot of interpretations.
But do you understand too what she did? That's why they showed the daughter in the bunker with the baby singing the same song that the robot sang to her, because now she's Mother. She's Mother.
Totally. I get it, but I don't trust that Mother didn't. It's just as equally possible in my mind that Mother did all that to make her think that.
And then what is she going to do?
She's looking over to make sure her stuff goes right, and maybe we'll just have to start all over again and kill everybody if it doesn't go the way I think it should.
Oh, I suppose that's possible. I mean, she did, though.
Yeah, because Mother is not. She's not reliant on that shell of that robot to be Mother.
Of course not. But that's irrelevant. Of course not. She can also see and hear everything that goes on in the bunker. Obviously, that's why she had the recordings. But what she's trying to do is to make humanity independent. That's what I believe. That's what I see. And she kept Hillary's character alive, who is obviously the clones. They're clones. That she's the third clone. I don't know what happened to the second. We don't know why she destroyed her, but obviously she let Hillary go. Okay, and then that family took her in. That's why she had no knowledge of her family, and that's why she said to her, she's like, "Don't you ever wonder who your family is? Doesn't it ever seem like you had a purpose?" But she manipulated this the whole entire time to find the right one. We don't know what happened to the second one. Maybe the second one developed a sickness, even for all we know, and then she might have died she was going to die or whatever.
I'd got the impression the one that's missing didn't live up to the testing that she was doing.
So what did she do? She released her. She didn't incinerate her like she did the second one.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that the one that she incinerated is the one that didn't live up to the testing. That's what I got out of it.
But here's the thing. I don't think Hillary would have lived up to the testing either. She was far too selfish. Everything that she lied to get into the bunker. She lied to the girls. She manipulated. She wasn't a good person. She didn't show moral turpitude. High moral standards.
Daughter started to lie too. So if the woman heads out to the wild, she's going to adapt more and more and more and more and more of that to survive. So when she comes back, she's just changed. We don't know what she's like when she left.
What are you talking about? Woman,
yeah.
Yeah. But I don't understand. You mean why she's different or why
I'm saying that daughter also showed behaviors that would lead toward how woman was behaving. She was starting to lie to Mother.
As far as sure, she lied to Mother, but Hillary lied to daughter to get her away from Mother.
Right.
Like she was trying to take her from her safety into the wilds. It's not very. Because she's being selfish. She doesn't want to be alone. It's kind of how I felt it was.
Well, the other one is just trying to save her. It's from a different perspective. Her morals could be, I need to save her from this doom that she's in there, just like I got free.
Oof. See, maybe. I find
we don't know. They don't say.
Confusing.
So it's all
right, and that's her motives can be taken two ways too.
Yeah,
that she's trying to save her, but when she's out there, we find out that a lot of what she said was a lie.
Yeah,
and maybe she just got her out there to have a companion.
And that could be true. Yeah.
Well, because everyone else now you find out that everyone else passed away and that's so wrong because you could tell. The girl, oh God, okay, that broke my heart. Daughter, you could tell, wanted to meet the boy. She was like, right. Did you see the way she looked at and I'm like, oh, and then she got out there and he's not, I was like, heartbroken. Oh God. Because, she's developing hormones and she's probably got all this stuff going on. Okay, so this is a hard story without giving anything away.
Well, I think we've laid out a lot of it.
Yeah.
So we probably should stop here. I think we've illustrated that there's a lot of depth to this particular story, a lot to think about. It's very entertaining. It's very well shot. The special effects they're not a whole lot, but yet they're always there because Mother is always there, and she is brilliantly and wonderfully realized. What a great character.
God, I love Rose Byrne.
And the voice is fantastic too. And it's on Netflix. We should watch it. But let's find out what our final thoughts are and our scores. This should be interesting. It might not be the same as before. And our favorite scene. Jeff, you get to start us off.
Okay, so this is definitely worth a watch. And as you can tell by our discussion, there's lots to think about here. So just to reiterate that. And it's, there's a lot of post-apocalyptic stories out there with very few characters, but this one is, I think, much more thought-provoking, much smarter script than many of them. It really, really does make you think. I'm giving this a 4, and my favorite scene is going to be towards the end, and I'm going to describe it very vaguely. When mother gently holds something that daughter has in her hand and moves it for her, because I thought that was a big thought-provoking moment.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. I was like, what? I'm sorry, Jeff. Yes. Okay.
All right. Well, Crystal, give us your final thoughts, your score, and favorite scene for I Am Mother.
Well, I feel, of course, the same as Jeff. It's definitely a must-watch. I give it a 4 as well. And I completely agree with Jeff that if you want to just watch this movie for its surface, you're going to enjoy it. It's a great story. But if you want to really get into it, and it's a thinker or it's not. I think that's kind of a beautiful thing. You could see it for its surface value. My favorite scene is the removal of the bullet. I feel like it was a very, to me, it just showed so much amazing acting on daughter and the woman's part, and it just showed a lot of their character. It was a beautiful, beautiful scene.
Yeah, that's a good scene to choose. I love this film as well, and I was surprised on how good it was. I'd heard good things, but even what I heard didn't prepare me on actually how good this film was. It's engrossing, like Jeff said, time flies by. I mean, you are in this film just engrossed with these characters and the relationships, and then the conflicts, and all the conflicts are emotional conflicts. I mean, of course, there's a couple. There are some action conflicts, but most of them are just perception and desire and all kinds of really interesting and unique relationship type conflicts. What do you do in these situations? And they're all wrapped with the bigger picture, right? The bigger picture is kind of in here. The ethics part of it, right, is underlying all this, and it's just it just excites the brain, it tickles the brain, and I love that. I truly was fascinated on how the mother of I Am Mother behaved. It's a really interesting, not necessarily something we haven't entirely seen before, but the execution of it is so well done. It truly becomes a character with a personality and everything. And like I said, the close-ups, when the two characters are face to face, I was so enthralled with how the little tweaks that they did with some things on their mother's face that would give it an expression, right? That when paired with the voice, gave it life, and without making it animated, which was fascinating because there's these two little widgets in her face that could move back and forth, and it was used to great effect. And of course the eye would, they had one single lens, and it would, focus and come back, and so it gave it this animation and life that is pretty unique to this particular character, and I loved it. I thought it was just absolutely fantastic. So my score is going to be a 4 as well.
Yeah,
but I kind of want to give it a 4.5. Now that we've talked about it, but I had a 4 written down, and my favorite scene is going to be, I think it's going to be the scene I'm talking about, and it's not the first time it happens. It's later when daughter is now getting a little suspicious of mother. She doesn't know if mother's telling her the truth or if woman is. And I think ironically, both telling the truth and they're both lying at the same time, which is interesting. And then, but when Mother, leans into her, I don't know. That really registered with me. And it was authoritative, but yet caring. It speaks to, every person on the planet at one point challenges authority, right? Challenges the person that's been telling them the story all their life. Everybody does that at some point. And that was the moment this character does it. And it just connected with me and registered. So I loved
it. What's so interesting is we have 3 characters that don't actually have names, but it's some of the most well-developed characters I've ever.
Yeah. Mother, daughter, and woman. But all right, so this is from, like we said, director Grant Spatore, Rose Byrne, Hilary Swank, Claire Rugard, however you want to say it. It's currently on Netflix, and we all recommend you catching it. Oh, man. If you want to give us some feedback, we recommend that you do so. You can write us at feedback@gruesomemagazine.com, or you can hit us up on Facebook, or you can go to gruesomemagazine.com and leave a message on the blog post. And we have some feedback this week from Alistair Hughes. We also, Jeff, I'm going to ask you to say a little bit about what Alistair does, but this is his feedback. Thanks so much for recommending Perfection. I might not have tried it if it hadn't been for your excellent episode. My wife and I watched it last night, and despite being on the edge of our seats for most of the time, thoroughly enjoyed it. Or maybe appreciated is a better way to put it.
Thanks, Alistair.
Thank you so much. I'm glad you enjoyed it, because I enjoyed it as well.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm so glad they enjoyed it. Wow.
Alistair is an author. Is that right, Jeff?
Yes.
That's awesome.
Tell us about the book that he wrote.
He let us know about this a little while ago, and I hopefully we sold some books for him. But he has a book out called Infogothic, an unauthorized graphic guide to Hammer horror. It's a paperback available on Amazon. And the thing that we got at first was a sort of a circle infographic that had all of the Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing pair-ups, all the movies that they made. And the way that he did it, you could tell really quickly visually, were they good guys? Were they bad guys? Were they adversaries? Was it Hammer? Was it Amicus? It was really interesting. So I've got it. I think I told him I ordered it, but actually I have it in my queue, and I just got a credit, so now I'm going to order it.
Infogothic.
Infogothic, yeah.
That
it's
awesome.
Very cool. It's very cool.
Yeah, I don't think I caught that was what it was with the first time around, and I saw the little posting you did about the book, and I'm like, oh crap, I got to get this. This looks fantastic. It's just like a whole book of these, and
Yeah. For a Hammer movie. So if you're into Hammer, 50s, 60s, 70s, check it out.
Yeah, I definitely am. So thank you, Alistair.
Me too. Thank you.
And thanks for the nice comment on the podcast. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I love feedback.
Definitely. So let us know what you think of these 2 movies. Crystal, Jeff, I want to thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome.
All right, let's say goodnight.
Good night.
Good night.